All right, good evening and welcome to the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers annual general meeting. Before we begin, I'd like to just take this opportunity to cover a few housekeeping items. So I'm just going to share my screen for a moment. So once again, my name is Michael. I'm from Data on the Spot, and we're just going to go over a few tips on navigating the website, as well as voting and participating in the Zoom. So you'll notice this year there's an integrated website that encapsulates the Zoom, the voting, as well as some documents. So just a few tips on that first. All of you have successfully joined the Zoom meeting, so I'll skip that part. A couple tips though, if you full screen the Zoom meeting, you can hit escape to return to the main page, and you can also double click to toggle full screen view. To access the voting, click the secure voting at the top of the screen or scroll down below the Zoom meeting. To access the AGM package and documents, click the documents tab. That will scroll to the bottom of the page. And if you wish to use a second device to vote, you can access the voting website separately using the direct link ospe.simplyvoting.com. In terms of the meeting, when you're moving or seconding a motion, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom. This is found under reactions. You may need to click the more button to access reactions. As well, for participating in discussion, please use that same raise hand feature that will indicate that you would like to speak. And once the chair calls on you, please unmute yourself and you will be able to begin speaking at that point. You can also type your question in the chat and it will be read aloud by Dots. And also if you have a point of order or privilege, also please indicate that in the chat so that we can interrupt the proceedings. So just a quick note, we've opened up a test vote. This is different than the advanced test vote that you've done. So there was a ballot open prior to the meeting that you were able to access with the email that you received. But we're just going to do one more a test vote at the start of the meeting just to make sure that everyone's comfortable. So that vote is now open. Brandon has put the support information as well as the website in the chat as well. But I'm just going to go over a few things as people try out that test vote again. So once again, you're going to click the secure voting tab at the top of your screen, or you can scroll down just below the Zoom meeting. You're going to log in using your ID and password that were sent to you from credentials@dataonthespot.com. And if you're already logged into the website and a vote is called, please click the next vote button. That'll refresh the page and display the current active ballot. At that point, you will see a link that says vote now and the title of the motion. So click that, make your selections, and just remember that it's a two-step process. You will also need to click confirm after you have made your selections. Once you have submitted your ballot, you will see a green success message that indicates your vote has been cast. And if you're having any issues at all, please reach out to us. You can reach us in the chat, or you can email credentials@dataonthespot.com. There's also a toll-free number if you wish, 1-833-368-7123. That's also been posted in the chat as well. So we're going to leave that vote open for a little bit. We see some votes coming in now. That's great. So we're just going to leave that open. If anyone is having any issues with that test vote, please reach out to Dots and we'll make sure to get you comfortable before we go on with any more voting. So that's great. I'm going to take my screen down here, and without further delay, it's my pleasure to now introduce the chair of the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers, Stephanie Holko.
Good evening. And again, welcome to the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers 2024 Annual General Meeting. I'll begin my greetings by acknowledging that I am coming to you virtually from my home in Burlington. Burlington, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and the Métis. From the Anishinaabe to the Haudenosaunee and the Métis, our lands spanning from Lake Ontario to the Niagara Escarpment are steeped in Indigenous history. This territory is mutually covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy the Ojibwe, and other allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We would like to acknowledge that this land is part of the treaty's land and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. As settlers, we are grateful for the opportunity to live, work, and play in this territory. All attendees should have received a copy of the AGM package, which was sent out via email. You may also click Documents, scroll down to access the AGM package documents within the portal here. The floor will be open to questions prior to the vote on each motion and during the member question period towards the end of the meeting. When asking questions, we ask that you are succinct and respect that there are others in attendance who wish to be heard. Please only ask one question at a time and note that there will be no motions from the floor. I would now like to thank our valued partners, our premier partners, the Personal Home and Auto Group Insurer and Nuclear Waste Management Organization. Our signature partners, BMS Canada Risk Services Limited, Epic Training, National Bank, and our innovator partners, Canada Life, Corestone Law, Member Perks by Vengo, Notarius, and Rotman School of Management, University of Toronto. And all our community partners who are noted on your screen. On behalf of all OSPE members, thank you to our partners for your incredible and ongoing support of Ontario's engineering community. I would now like to take a moment to thank our current 2023-2024 OSPE Board of Directors, our Vice Chair, Dave Carnegie, past Chair, Dr. Marilyn Powers, our Treasurer, Stephen Pepper, Secretary, Megan James, Director, Sandra Ozma, Director, Mark Emanuel, Director, Jerome James, Director, Ray Mantha, Director, Peter Marcucci, Director, Jane Ravenshaw, and Director, Caroline Wutia. Thank you to all my colleagues for helping to lead the organization during this term. Now I officially call the meeting to order. This is the annual meeting of members of the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers. As chair of the society, I shall act as chair of this meeting. Data on the spot, our IT support team, will act as our technical moderators. Notice of this meeting was sent to all members, to each director, and to the Society's auditors. A copy of the notice will be kept by the Secretary with the records of this meeting. I now ask our technical moderator, Data on the Spot, to advise if we have a quorum of professional, associate, and honorary members present.
And we do confirm that there is a quorum of professional, associate, and honorary members present.
Thank you. We'll now proceed with the business of the meeting and declare this meeting to be duly constituted for the transaction of business. All attendees have been provided with an agenda for the meeting and a package of supporting materials, including OSPE's complete audited financial statements. All society members present today are entitled to vote on general motions. As has been noted, you can move and second a motion with the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. When a vote is called, click Secure Voting or scroll down to access the voting window. If you wish to use a separate device to vote, you can access the voting website separately by clicking on ospe.simplyvoting.com. Support information and the above link have been posted in the chat. If you are already logged on, click Next Vote and the active ballot will appear as a clickable link. Only professional, associate, and honorary members are eligible to vote on the draft ONCA, short for Ontario Not-for-Profit Corporations Act, compliant bylaw 1-2023 special resolutions and the appointment of auditors. When I call for a vote on the motion to approve the motions of the draft ONCA compliant bylaw 1-2023 special resolutions and the appointment of the auditors, I will ask only those members entitled to vote to do so at that time. Anyone who wanted to designate another person to be their proxy at this meeting was required under our bylaws to submit a proxy form to our offices at least 2 business days prior to this meeting. The deadline for receipt of proxies was 4:30 p.m. Thursday, May 2nd, 2024, and we received 22 proxies. I now submit the approval of the minutes from the last meeting of members held on May 8th, 2023. A copy of the minutes of that meeting have been provided to every person present. May I have a member move the motion to approve the minutes as circulated? Please use the raised hand button at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, and we have, oh, apologies. Yeah, we have Rakesh Sriwastav moving, and Jamie Gerson seconding.
Fantastic, thank you. Are there any errors, omissions, or discussion? You can either use the raise hand button or enter your question in the chat box. The button is located in the control panel.
And we're seeing no hands raised. Oh, my apologies. Jamie Gerson has their hand raised. Jamie, you can go ahead and unmute.
That was an error. I did not raise my hand. I'm sorry.
Okay, so seeing none, we'll now call for a vote. Please remember to click secure voting or scroll down to access the voting window. If you are already logged on, click next vote and the active ballot will appear as a clickable link. If you wish to do so, the voting website link is in the chat.
And this is Michael from DOTS again. I can confirm that ballot is now open. And you're just looking to click the next vote button to refresh the page. And then you're looking for the link that says vote now, motion to approve the minutes of the annual general meeting of May 8th, 2023. And we will leave that open for about a minute. I will log off for a second here and come back with a 30-second warning. So please go ahead and cast your vote as soon as possible. Thank you. Okay, we have most votes in. We'll give a 30-second warning. Okay, and that ballot is now closed. Please stand by for the results.
Okay, I declare the motion to be carried. Thank you very much. Before we move on to our next item, I'd like to also thank our partners from the engineering community for joining us here this evening. Professional Engineers Ontario, Engineers Canada, Municipal Engineers Association, Engineers and Geoscientists British Columbia, Association of Consulting Engineering Companies Ontario, the Ontario Association of Engineering Technicians and Technologists, the Ontario Professional Engineers Foundation for Education, the Engineering Student Society Council of Ontario, and the Ontario Association of Architects. Thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to many continued collaboration for many years to come. I now welcome our CEO, Sandra Perusa, who has joined me to deliver the report from the chair and the CEO. While this evening serves as an important governance function, we would also like to highlight some of the exciting progress and achievements we've made in serving members in the engineering community in 2023.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the professional staff of OSPE, I'm happy to preside over another AGM of the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers. We have once again had a very productive year, and I will try to quickly hit the highlights with a few slides for backup. Of course, I won't be able to represent the full 365 days of activities in support of our members and the engineering community, but it, along with our annual report, provides a direct window into our core activities. Now, 2023 was a strong year for OSPE, highlighted by the following. Our signature publication, The Voice, has had a long history, but times have changed, and after much debate and some consultation, we had a couple of choices. We can either discontinue our internal magazine or commit to going fully digital. We elected to go the digital route. We relaunched our signature publication last March, relying exclusively on our internal design team. Since then, we have continued to deliver valued content to members and the engineering community, both on time and on target. This change has meant that the news and articles you read are as fresh as possible, and we're following through on our commitments to be more sustainable as well. It also means more opportunities for members and partners to reach our audience, as we're unconstrained by traditional publishing and distribution costs. Put simply, it costs less and we can do more, making it a true win-win. In 2022, the engineering conference returned to being an in-person, actually we did it hybrid, and we reported on it at the AGM last year. We loved being in the nation's capital, and it was a very successful event for us. Now, last year, we rotated the event to Toronto, and we had our largest, most successful conference ever, with more than 5,200 participants. They came to see over 50 subject matter experts and more than 120 engineering employers actively looking for engineering talent. Now, I will be honest and admit there were times during the planning process when I thought that we wouldn't be able to fill the space we committed to at the Metro Toronto Convention Center. However, thanks to our sales and marketing teams and a large roster of event partners, we're able to meet our objectives and then some. It will be a little while until we are back in Toronto, as we wanted to bring the signature event to more communities to highlight regional engineering innovation across the province. Now, last year was a great test of our organizational capacity, and we passed with flying colors. Now, next up will be Windsor on October 29th, 2024, and I hope to see you there. Now, this next one isn't as exciting as our conference or our advocacy efforts, but I do want to touch on some of the administrative changes that we made in 2023 as well. Now, to serve you better, OSPE invested in and upgraded its back-end membership management technology last summer. Now, this is something we do about every 5 years to make sure we have the capacity to grow and to serve our members as best as we can. Now, central to this broad update is the development of our video learning library, which we have branded our EngLearn platform. And here you can find recordings from past conferences, our Thought Leadership Thursday series, and so much more. All of this with the ease of navigation that you're accustomed to from YouTube. Now, this new platform will make it easy to find and access the continuing professional development you need to satisfy your professional licensure requirements and continue to advance your careers. Whether you have an immediate need or not, I suggest you check it out. OSPE remains steadfastly committed to two principles with its advocacy efforts: doing right for the engineering professionals and doing right for the community of Ontario. Now, in both areas, we had measurable impact in 2023. Now, on the former, we were thrilled to see PO initiate a continuing professional development program for license holders and eliminate the Canadian experience component to make it easier for internationally trained engineers to use their skills in a workforce faster. Both were initiatives OSPE has been calling for and examples of moving the industry and the profession forward. OSPE's mandate is to support the entire engineering community so that no matter your station within the profession, from student to experienced professional engineer, OSPE is your greatest advocate, and we look forward to serving our increasingly diverse membership. As for impact in Ontario, OSPE remains very active on the critical files of energy management, housing development, infrastructure renewal, and of course, public safety. We are blessed to have so many members willing to volunteer their expertise and knowledge to ensure that the growth that Ontario needs is both smart and sustainable. Due to the amazing work of our volunteers, we have realized a 37% increase in meetings with government policymakers and an increase in policy papers and reports published by 60% over our 2022 levels. This is an amazing accomplishment. When we meet with external stakeholders, they listened, and that is critical to our ability to bring forward meaningful change. Now, I know this isn't hardly a monumental success, but I want to close with it because it's a beginning of getting back to being more physically present with you, our members. It started last year, and it's our priority for the board for 2024 and beyond. This year, we're hosting a series of member engagement events across the province. This year, we've already been in Ottawa, Sudbury, and North Bay, and have supported dozens of events across the province for National Engineering Month. Look for an event in your community coming soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandro. As I preside over this annual general meeting, I'm reminded of how fast a year can go by. Last year at this time, I thanked former OSPE Chair Marilyn Powers for her service in leading the organization, and now I'm closing my own whirlwind experience as Chair of OSPE. Although I do have to make some performative remarks throughout the evening, I also want to emphasize that it has been a pleasure to be the Chair of OSPE over the last year. It's afforded me some opportunities to work closely with fellow engineers in ways I never would have had the chance to, and it's helped me develop some new internal competencies. In short, I learned a lot, and I am a more confident and productive member of our engineering community for the experience. I apologize in advance for the overlap with Sandro's remarks, but I do think last year's engineering conference was worth a few more words. This is OSPE's signature event, and last year was a home run, slam dunk, or whatever positive sports metaphor you prefer. I was thrilled to do my part as a host, but more importantly, it was a demonstration of just how much engineering talent and expertise we have here in Ontario. From artificial intelligence to infrastructure, there's so much activity here at home, and we were able to package that for the benefit of the Ontario engineering community. We also continued to use the event as a platform for important discussions about equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility, values this organization lives daily. While the conference was a very public display of competence, my role as chair over the past year has also exposed me to all the meaningful work that OSPE does behind the scenes. This is where most of our advocacy efforts take place, engaging important dialogues on the issues that are meaningful to you, our members. It's been a wonderful learning experience for me to get a peek behind the curtain of our task forces: energy, climate crisis, sustainable cities, research and innovation, and equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility, as those groups of volunteers form the foundation of our work to make Ontario safer while encouraging smart economic growth. This past year, we were more active than ever, especially on critical issues of indoor air quality, smart construction, and sustainable procurement. On behalf of the Board of Directors, thank you to our committees for dedicating your time and expertise so significantly and selflessly. One of the outcomes of OSPE's past advocacy finally came to fruition last year with the launch of continuing professional development requirements from our regulator, Professional Engineers Ontario. I know this might be old news at this point, but I am close on it because it allows me to comment on a few things. The first is a quasi-victory lap because this is something OSPE has been advocating for some time. Many in the industry think status of engineers is on the decline, and one of the ways we can work to reverse that impression is by continually updating our knowledge base and competency. Next is to remind you all about how OSPE, as Sandro indicated, has built up its internal capacity to support engineers seeking professional development. What we can offer to you, our members, and the engineering community continues to expand, and our new EngLearn platform makes it easier to access than ever. I know I'm biased, but this is truly one of the most meaningful reasons to be a member right now. There's so much learning at your fingertips, and a lot of it included with your membership. Last but not least, I encourage all of you and our members to lean into the engineer's greatest strength, problem solving. We are at such a critical time in history, and the only way we are going to successfully move forward is to coordinate and collaborate. What that means to me is that even though I am exiting the role of OSPE chair, which I cherished, I will be staying involved with our association in new and interesting ways in the future. I encourage you all to do so as well. The fact that you're attending the AGM might mean that I'm preaching to the choir, but either way, trust me when I say, when you lean in and get involved, there are so many positive outcomes. There's more opportunity than you realize to form new networks and gain new experiences if you want to do so. Thank you. Our next item of business is a report from the Nominations Committee. I now welcome the Chair of the Nominations Committee, Megan James, to deliver her report.
Thank you, Stephanie. I am pleased to provide the report to the membership on behalf of the 2024 Nominations Committee, which included myself, Sandra Osma, Philip Daw, Jean-Pierre Kemel, and Mark Emmanuel. The primary duty of this committee is to ensure that the slate of candidates presented to the board represents the interests, sectors, and regions of the society. This year, there were 4 open board positions because of normal rotation for a 3-year term. According to the nomination and election procedures set out in the Society's bylaws, I announce that the following professional engineers shall be directors of the Society to hold office for a 3-year term. Nicholas Bergwin, PEng, Nick Colucci, PEng, Dr. Marilyn Powers, PEng, and Beatrice C., PEng. All directors will take office immediately following the close of this meeting. Welcome to the OSPE board. I want to say thank you to all of the candidates who took time out of their busy schedules to run in this year's election. Your dedication and commitment to your profession is genuinely appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you to the entire nominations committee. What an exceptional slate of candidates we had this year. Our next item of business is the presentation of financial statements of the Society for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023. At this time, I would like to call upon our treasurer, Stephen Pepper, to report on the audited financial statements for 2023.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's my pleasure to present the Treasurer's Report for the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers for the 2023 fiscal year. We would be pleased to answer any questions that you may have during the members' question segment of the AGM, and I would ask that the questions be held until that time. The financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2023 were audited by BDO Canada. BDO has given an unqualified opinion on the financial statements. A copy of those audited financial statements is included in your AGM package. I would now like to review a summary of our revenues and expenses for 2023. In 2023, OSPE realized total revenues of $4.9 million, just 4.910114, and incurred expenses of $8,418. This is an excess of expenses over revenue in the amount of $98,304. Major revenues were generated through the following means: membership fees, $1,179,000, royalties, $1.745 million, government projects, $476,000, advertising and sponsorships, $952,000, professional development and career center, $382,000. The largest components of overall expenses incurred in 2023 included administration, $364,000, event production, $954,000, advertising, promotions, and publications, $199,000, government projects, $476,000, insurance and professional services, $423,000, rent, $170,000, wages and benefits, $1,892,000, travel and volunteer expenses, $173,000. The residual remaining other expenses include governance, sponsorship, and telecommunications. As noted, expenses surpassed revenues in 2023. As with many not-for-profit associations, OSPE continues to bring back in-person events and therefore has increased travel amongst their volunteers and staff. In addition to holding in-person events, we also moved our engineering conference to Toronto, which increased event production expenses significantly from 2022. OSPE continues to invest in our engineering academy, which will assist our members by giving you as many options as necessary in order to fulfill your CPD hours. Surpluses saved up through previous years have allowed OSPE to use reserves to pay for much of this investment in the Engineering Academy. The investments we made in 2023 and the investments we will continue to make are all aimed at bringing value to our members. This concludes the report from the treasurer. If there are any other questions regarding the 2023 audited financial statements, again, you'll have the opportunity to pose them during the members' question period towards the end of the AGM. On behalf of my fellow committee members, Mark Emanuel, Dr. Marilyn Powers, Ray Mantha, and Jane Ravenshaw, I would now like to present the report of the Audit and Finance Committee and the appointment of auditors. The committee issued a request for proposals to various audit firms in 2021 for a 5-year commitment. This was conducted as a matter of good business practice and due diligence. As a result of this review, as well as the professional and efficient delivery of high quality service, the committee and the OSPE board recommends that BDO Canada LLP be reappointed as auditors for 2024. To that end, I move that BDO Canada LLP be appointed auditors of the Society to hold office until the next annual meeting or until their successors are appointed, and that the board of directors of the Society be authorized to fix the auditor's remuneration. Is there a second? Please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, and I can confirm Jonathan Hack has raised his hand.
Thank you. Are there any errors, omissions, or discussion? You can either raise hand at the bottom or enter your question in the chat box. The button is located on the control panel.
And we are currently seeing no hands and no questions in the chat.
All professional, associate, and honorary members will now call for a vote. Please remember to click Secure Voting or scroll down to access the voting window. If you've already logged on, click Next Vote and the active ballot will appear as a clickable link. If you like to use a separate device to vote, you can access the voting website separately by clicking on https://ospe.simplyvoting.com. Support information and the above link have been posted in the chat.
Aidan, thanks very much. This is Michael from DOTS again. Just a reminder that ballot is now open. So please navigate to the voting platform and cast your vote. We've put the support information in the chat box there. And if you're having any issues, please reach out to us. But we will leave that vote open for a little while and we'll come back with a 30-second warning. And 30 seconds to cast your vote, please. 30 seconds. And that ballot is now closed. Thank you very much, and please stand by for the results.
Hereby declare the motion to be carried. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Stephen. We will now move forward with the motions regarding the new ONCA, Ontario Not-for-Profit Corporations Act compliant bylaw number 1-2023 and special resolutions. I would like to invite Dave Carnegie, Vice Chair of OSPE and Chair of the Board Development and Strategic Planning Committee, to join me. As was noted in the beginning of the meeting, all attendees should have received a copy of the AGM package, which was sent out via email. You may also click Documents to scroll down to access the AGM package documents. I would like to confirm again that only professional, associate, and honorary members are eligible to vote for motions with respect to the bylaw and special resolutions. The Ontario government proclaimed into force the Ontario Not-for-Profit Corporations Act on October 19th, 2021. All provincially incorporated non-share corporations, such as OSPE, have until October 18th, 2024 to ensure their governing documents, including their letters, patent, and bylaws, comply with this act. If provisions of a not-for-profit's governing documents do not conform to ONCA and are not amended by October 19th, 2024 to bring them into conformity with ONCA, then with certain exceptions, they will automatically be deemed changed in order to comply with the bylaw or with ONCA. While legally acceptable, practically this scenario could lead to confusion, and minimally you will need to consult the act to determine certain questions about what your organization is permitted to do. The OSPE Board of Directors felt proper due diligence was necessary and therefore engaged professional legal services experienced with nonprofit law to review our charter documents, including our bylaws. Our lawyer has extensive knowledge of the nonprofit sector and helped to assist OSPE with the transition to ONCA compliance. Our law firm, Hire Campbell LLP, worked with the OSPE staff and the Board Development and Strategic Planning Committee to develop an entirely new bylaw, number 1-2023. This new bylaw incorporates the element of current bylaw number 2 that are unique to OSPE. This required new bylaw number 1-2023 would repeal and replace bylaw number 2 in its entirety. Minor changes were made to reflect board structure and nature of operations, which have changed slightly since we were incorporated in the year 2000. The bylaws and resolutions were reviewed and approved by the OSPE Board of Directors in September 2023. ONCA provides Ontario not-for-profit corporations, including charitable corporations, with a modern legal framework to meet the needs of today's not-for-profit sector. It sets out how not-for-profit corporations are created, governed, and dissolved.
Some features of the new act include making a new distinction between public benefit corporations and other not-for-profit corporations, allowing a not-for-profit corporation to provide in its bylaws other means of voting, for example, by mail, telephone, or electronic means, in addition to or in place of voting by proxies. It allows a member of a corporation to appoint a proxy holder and clarifies that not-for-profit corporations can engage in commercial activities if the activities support the corporation's not-for-profit purposes. Allows for a simpler process for reviewing the corporation's financial records, requires a corporation that has 2 or more classes or groups of members to set this out in the articles, provides clearer rules for governing the corporation and increasing accountability, and sets out a due diligence and good faith reliance defense for directors. It lists specific requirements for directors and officers to report a conflict of interest in certain circumstances, states that corporations do not always have to include a member's proposal in meeting notices in certain circumstances, provides members with actions they can take if they believe directors are not acting in the best interests of the corporation, provides members with greater access to financial records, joins other jurisdictions in Canada that have already modernized their not-for-profit corporations laws. The Canada Not-for-Profit Corporations Act, for instance, came into effect on October 17th, 2011 at the federal level. For OSPE specifically, the Board of Directors took this opportunity to ensure that the principal object of OSPE in our Articles of Amendment reflects what OSPE does. OSPE represents the interests of professional engineers, engineering graduates, and the wider community of engineers, in each case in Ontario. As is reflected in our current strategic plan, OSPE continues to engage, educate, and enable the engineering community and empower them to lead society. Our vision is to be the home of the entire engineering community in Ontario, where engineers come together to realize their full potential. Our mission is to engage, educate, and enable the engineering community to lead in order to help create a better future for our profession and society at large.
Under ONCA, it's necessary to formally establish the range of board of directors with a minimum and maximum number. The board of directors play a critical role in the corporate governance process. They are responsible for providing strategic direction and oversight for the company and ensuring that it complies with all relevant laws and regulations. A diverse and effective board of directors is essential for good governance, good corporate governance, and a company's long-term success and sustainability. In order to have the ability to ensure we are as diverse and effective and represent the membership, based on the research with respect to typical board size for not-for-profits that are of the same size and structure as OSPE, the range has been set between 9 and 12 directors. With respect to the classes of members, we will be simplifying our categories of membership into 3 classes. First, regular members, which combines our current professional, associate, honorary, and intern members. This category combines all our current voting members into one class of membership. Only this category has full voting rights and the ability to serve on our board of directors. Second will be corporate members, which will give our partners in the engineering community who support the mission and purpose of the corporation the opportunity to officially participate as part of the organization. Third will be affiliated members who are students that are enrolled in an engineering program at a Canadian institution that has or is seeking CEAB accreditation or enrolled in an accredited or recognized engineering program offered in a country where Engineers Canada Agreement applies.
ONCA provides that if there is more than one class of members, the bylaws must provide for the manner of withdrawing from a class or group or transferring membership to another class or group and any conditions of transfer and the conditions on which membership in a class or group ends. With respect to special resolution number 2, therefore, it is intended to enact section 11.8 of bylaw number 1-2023 to provide that a person's membership cannot be transferred to another person or exchanged between classes, and also stipulates the circumstances under which the membership is automatically terminated, for example, resignation, death, dissolution of an organizational member. A special resolution is required to set the notice of members' meetings in the bylaw. Subject to the Act, not less than 10 and not more than 50 days written notice of any annual or special members' meeting shall be given in the manner specified in the Act to each member, each director, and to the auditor or person appointed to conduct a review engagement. Notice of any meeting where special business will be transacted must contain sufficient information to permit the members to form a reasoned judgment on the decision to be taken and state the text of any special resolution to be submitted to the meeting. The final resolution will fix the number of directors of the corporation at 12, which coincides with our current number of directors. The new ONCA compliant bylaw number 1-2023 and special resolutions have been reviewed and discussed extensively with our legal counsel and our board of directors to ensure that OSPE is compliant with proclaimed legislative requirements. Information regarding the new ONCA compliant bylaw and special resolutions is included in your AGM package. OSPE professional, associate, and honorary members will now have the opportunity to vote on these motions. The motion to approve the new ONCA compliant bylaw requires a majority of those eligible to vote this evening, 50% plus 1. The special resolutions require a 2/3 majority of those eligible to vote this evening. Members were also given the option to send in an advanced vote via proxy by May 2nd. We received 22 proxies.
We will now begin with the first motion to approve special resolution number 1, which will amend the letters patent and apply for articles of amendment in order to be compliant with ONCA's legislation. The full wording of the resolution can be found in your package. May I have a professional, associate, or honorary member move to approve special resolution number 1 as presented?
And I see Bruce Matthews with a hand up.
Is there a second? Please use the raise hand button.
And we have Jonathan Hack seconding.
Thank you. Are there any errors, omissions, or discussion? You can either use the raise hand button or enter your question in the chat box. The button is located on the control panel.
And we are seeing no hands raised and nothing in the chat.
Okay, we will now call for a vote. Please remember to click secure voting or scroll down to access the voting window. If you are already logged on, click next vote and the active ballot will appear as a clickable link. If you wish to use a separate device to vote, you can access the voting website separately by clicking ospe.simplyvoting.com. Support information in the above link have been posted in the chat.
And this is Michael with Dots once again. That ballot is now open. Please, just a quick reminder to click the next vote button. That'll refresh your page and display the current active ballot. It will appear as a link that says vote now, motion to approve special resolution number 1. I will be back shortly with a 30-second warning. Thank you. Um, 30-second warning, 30 seconds to cast your vote, please. And that ballot is now closed. Please stand by for the results.
I declare the motion to be carried. Thank you. We will now motion to approve bylaw number 1-2023, which will replace bylaw number 2 in its entirety in order to be compliant with ONCA legislation. The full bylaw is included in your package. May I have a professional associate or honorary member move to approve bylaw number 1-2023 as presented?
And we have Nick Colucci with a hand up.
Fantastic. Is there a second?
We have Bruce Matthews seconding.
Thank you. Are there any errors, omissions, or discussion? You can either use the raise hand button or enter your question in the chat box.
And we are seeing no hands raised and no questions in the chat.
We will now call for a vote. Please remember to click secure voting or scroll down to access the voting window. If you're already logged on, click next vote and the active ballot will appear as a clickable link. If you wish to use a separate device to vote, you can access the voting website separately by clicking OSPE.simplyvoting.com. Support information in the above link have been posted in the chat.
Great, and thanks very much, everyone. This is Michael from Dots again. We're going to give about another 30 seconds. I see most people have their vote in. Please let us know if you're having any issues. The support information is in the chat. And just 10 more seconds. And that ballot is now closed. Please stand by for the results.
I declare the motion to be carried. We'll now motion to approve special resolution number 2 with respect to section 11-8 of bylaw number 1-2023, membership not being transferable between classes. The full wording of the resolution can be found in your package. May I have a professional associate or honorary member move to approve special resolution 2 as presented? I think we have a mover and a seconder.
That is correct. We have Nick Colucci moving and Sandra Osma seconding.
Thank you. Are there any errors, omissions, or discussion? You can either use the raise hand button or enter your question in the chat box.
And we are seeing no hands raised and nothing in the chat.
Thank you. We will now call for a vote. Please remember to click secure voting or scroll down to access the voting window. If you're already logged on, click next vote and an active ballot will appear as a clickable link. If you wish to use a separate device to vote, you can access the voting website separately by clicking on ospe.simplyvoting.com, and that information is in the chat.
And another reminder from Dots just to click that next vote button. And you're looking for a blue clickable link that says vote now, motion to approve special resolution number 2. We have most of the votes in now, so I'll go ahead and give a 30-second warning. 30 seconds to cast your vote, please. And 10 more seconds. And that ballot is now closed. Please stand by for the results.
I declare the motion to be carried. We now motion to approve special resolution number 3 with respect to notice of member meetings in order to be compliant with ONCA legislation. The full wording of the resolution can be found in your package. May I have a professional associate or honorary member move to approve special resolution number 3 as presented? Please use the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen.
And we have Nick Colucci moving and Christian Bellany seconding.
Thank you. Are there any errors, omissions, or discussion? You can raise your hand or enter the question in the chat box.
And we are seeing no hands raised and nothing in the chat.
Great, thank you. We will now call for a vote. Please remember to click secure voting or scroll down to access the voting window. If you're already logged on, click next vote and an active ballot will appear as a clickable link. If you wish to use a separate device to vote, you can access the voting website separately by clicking ospe.simplyvoting.com. Support information is in the chat.
And once again, this is Dots. Everyone's getting pretty fast at voting now, so we have most of the votes in. We're going to give it 30 seconds to make sure everyone has a chance to cast their vote. Please, once again, reach out to us if you're having any issues at all, but we'll give it a little under 30 seconds now. And that ballot is now closed. Please stand by for the results.
I declare the motion to be carried. We will now motion to approve special resolution number 4, which will fix the numbers of directors of the corporation to 12. The full wording of the resolution can be found in your package. May I have a professional associate or honorary member move to approve special resolution number 4 as presented?
And we have Bruce Matthews moving and Mark Emanuel seconding.
Thank you. Are there any errors, omissions, or discussion? You can use the raise hand button or enter your question in the chat box.
And we are currently seeing no hands raised and nothing in the chat.
Great. We'll now call for a vote. Please remember to click secure voting or scroll down to access the voting window. If you're already logged on, click next vote and the active ballot will appear as a clickable link. Support information and the link to vote on a separate device have been posted in the chat.
And once again, we'll just give about 15 more seconds now. We have almost all the votes in now, so just give it a few more moments. And thank you very much, everyone. That ballot is now closed. Please stand by for the results.
And I declare the motion to be carried. Thank you very much, and thank you, Dave. We now have some time set aside for general member questions from the floor. This meeting is your opportunity to have your questions addressed by the board. I ask that you keep your questions concise so that we may answer them in a timely manner and allow for as many questions as possible. We will permit each member to ask one question at a time. Please note that any questions with respect to licensing, the licensure process should be directed to the licensing and regulatory body, Professional Engineers Ontario. If you wish to receive information on professional development assistance on your road to licensure, please contact OSPE staff at pd@ospe.on.ca. We will begin with the questions that were submitted through the registration process. To ask a question this evening, you can either use the raise hand button or enter your question in the chat box. Individuals will only be allowed to ask one question at a time. We've allocated 15 minutes for questions. Can I have the first questions, please?
Absolutely. So the first question that we received through the registration process was from Omar Ahmed. The question is, what are your plans for increasing the support you offer to engineering students?
That's a great question.
Do you want me to take that?
I do. Thank you.
Okay, that's a good question. Thank you, Omar. So one of the things that we are doing and continue to do is have focused engineering employment events, or E3s, for students. We had one this last month. It was for graduating students and for professional engineers. We also have started a new venture called Engineers for Hire. And part of that service is working with organizations that are looking for co-ops and interns. So we will have specific places on our job board and outreach for students and who are looking for both co-ops and internships throughout their university time. Job search workshops is another thing that we'll be setting up, because we are finding that as students start to look for work, they're having some challenges translating what they learned in school into what employers are looking for with respect to skill sets. So we're trying to bridge that gap by working with the students to better able to explain the skills that they have to match the employer requirements. But additionally, we're working with employers. The engineering job market is very tight right now. The engineering employers are looking for a lot of engineers. There's an engineering shortage. And right now they're having trouble finding experienced engineers to do the work. So we're working with the employers to better help them understand the labor market and help them to understand that they need to start looking for perhaps not a perfect match, but looking for talent that can grow into a role. and that employers need to start to provide some internal professional development and bring in candidates and train up candidates for the roles that they need. So more outreach and encourage employers to offer more co-ops and internships so that these students can come and graduate more job ready. So that's some of the things that we're doing to support students and get them and help them find work while they're both in school and when they're recently graduated.
Thank you, Sandro. There's a lot on the go. Appreciate that. Are there other questions that were provided?
There were no advanced questions provided, and we're currently seeing, apologies, we do have a hand up from Rakesh Srivastav.
Hello and good afternoon. That question may be addressed by CEO, but anyone can chime in. My name is Rakesh Srivastav. So one comment, one question. So comment would be, I heard great accomplishment during the year by Sandro. Sandro, congratulations to you, all the achievements senior leadership has done. And also I want to congratulate you to for attracting some of the great board members you have, because that also starts from the decision-making process. I see, board members continuing from the leadership perspective. For example, Assistant Deputy Minister of Ontario Ministry of Transportation. So these are the achievements I see from the board caliber of talent perspective. So congratulations to you to continue to attract that talent. My question to you is, some of the things you mentioned about policy making, you outlined some of the efforts, some of the achievements during the year, how you engaged policymakers, decision makers. I'm a provincial government employee, and I wanted to know, as a member, and many other members who are not here, and maybe looking for from the society some of the information that may relate to their bottom lines, how engineering society is promoting engineers to the policymaker, but also from the outcome perspective, how those decision makers are changing the land, changing the perception of the PN's designation, which matters. So if you could highlight that, would be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. There were a number of different ways that OSPE advocated for the engineering profession over the last year. I'm going to invite the staff back because I think there were a lot of files that were worked on this year and interfaced with politicians and policymakers. So I'm going to ask Sandro to come back and speak to some of those, please.
Certainly. So Rakesh, thank you first off for your kind words. And I got to say that the success of OSPE, I certainly want to congratulate the staff and thank the staff for their efforts, but also nothing could have been done without the valuable input of the volunteers. They're the ones who provide the content. It's their knowledge and experience that we take and process and then bring forward to the various stakeholders in government. And of course, as you mentioned, the wonderful support and direction of our very competent board. So I want to acknowledge that first. And with some of the policy files to address your question and your area of focus is working with the government to understand the need for professional engineers. The government has supported and spent millions, if not billions, on marketing and talking about the need for skilled trades. And OSPE, agrees that we do need skilled trades. But as I mentioned in my earlier question, or response to the question, there's a shortage of engineering talent as well. And so we actually had, during our Queen's Park reception, our Queen's Park Lobby Day, had the opportunity to actually spend a few minutes, about 15 minutes with the Premier of Ontario and import on him the need for support for professional engineers. That there is an engineering shortage, a professional engineering shortage, that we need to support the universities to get talent out. I'll give you, and I shared with him some stats I'll share with this group as well. About 25% of engineering graduates from Canadian engineering schools and from those in Ontario actually pursue an engineering career upon graduation. The other 75% are going into other industries, financial, banking, financial management, IT, logistic companies are all hiring engineering graduates and offering them more money and more benefits. So that's, so we've actually also been advocating not only to the government, but also to engineering companies and sharing this information with them so that they understand where the talent is going and the need to pay engineers more, but also the need to increase their billing rates because billing rates haven't been rising with the rate of inflation. So we've been explaining the labor market to them and so that everyone understands where the talent is, the value of this talent, the need to move to a qualifications-based selection program, our process. We've been working with our partners at CDAO and at ACC Ontario and others, sharing that model with them. And most recently, because you do work for the Government of Ontario, we've been talking to PAGO, which is the professional engineers at the Government of Ontario, better understanding what their concerns are. We've had a few meetings with them and sharing some of their key messages with the government at various levels, both on the policy side and at the bureaucracy side. For example, the shortage of professional engineers within the Government of Ontario is actually causing some of the permitting delays that the government's been talking about. So approvals and delays in approvals is because there's a shortage of professional engineers who are reviewing all the applications and need to approve them. So message going back to the government that they actually need to hire more engineers and pay those engineers more. That's just a smattering of some of the advocacy work we've been doing with respect to that.
Thank you very much, Sandro. Are there any other questions? See any in the chat?
Oh, apologies, wasn't unmuted there. We have nothing, no hands raised, and we have nothing in the chat except there was a comment a little bit earlier from Michelle Mahavlich that reads, "Hi everyone, as you near the end of the meeting, just wanted to continue to wish you success with your society. Here in BC, we just registered our first society, the BC Society for Engineering and Geoscience." All
That's
the best, great. Michelle. Yeah.
Thank you. That's great. Okay, well, thank you for your questions and your kind words. If you have other questions that haven't been addressed or you think of later, please feel free to contact the Society's office anytime. Contact information can be found on the OSPE website. Our staff will make every effort to assist you or to forward your inquiries to the appropriate board member for your response. Throughout my tenure as chair of OSPE, I've relied upon the dedication and support of my fellow board members, several of whom are ending their terms this year. I would like now to take a moment to thank our outgoing board of directors. Jerome James is completing his second term, 6 years of service to the OSPE board and to our membership. During this time, he was actively involved as board secretary, a member of our executive committee, board development strategic planning committee, Equity, Diversity, Inclusiveness, and Accessibility Task Force, and chair of both the Environment Task Force and the OSPE Awards Committee. He also represented OSPE on the OSPE PEO Joint Relations Committee. But what I believe you will remember most will be you spearheading the launch of Engineer the Future, the official podcast of the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers. Jerome has been the voice of the podcast since its inception, hosting over 40 episodes of candid interviews with industry, government, and academic professionals who are not only leaders in their field, but innovators. Stephen Pepper has volunteered with OSPE for over 12 years, participating in our Energy Task Force and taking over the role of chair in 2020. He's represented OSPE in Ontario Energy Board consultations, meeting with the Minister of Energy and staff, opposition leaders and critics, and members of provincial parliament. In 2022, he graciously stepped into the board director role appointed by his peers. In 2023, he took on the role of treasurer and participated as an active chair of the Audit and Finance Committee and member of the Executive Committee. Peter Marcucci returned to the OSPE board in 2021, previously having served a term from 2015 to 2018. Peter is the voice of reason and has brought to this organization a sound background and knowledge in the realm of board governance. During his term, he participated as a member of the Human Resources and Board Development and Strategic Planning Committees, helping the board and staff implement various initiatives that drove policies to ensure the solid stewardship of the organization. He emphasized the importance of succession planning to help OSPE strive not just for today, but for years to come. Behind every successful member association, there is an extraordinary volunteer team. On behalf of OSPE, I thank you, Jerome, Stephen, and Peter, for contributing so much of your time, energy, and efforts to the engineering community. It has been my pleasure to work with each of you. As is tradition, at the end of this meeting, I will have completed my tenure as the chair of the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers. It has been a challenging year, but an exciting year. We continue to move our organization forward, bringing more and more value to our membership, and I am very proud of what we have been able to accomplish. Thank you again to my fellow board directors, the staff, and to you, the members. I would now like to introduce to you OSPE's Vice Chair. Dave Carnegie has not only been an active Vice Chair, but an inquisitive leader. He is passionate about the role engineers can play in complex intersectional society, and with over 10 years of volunteer experience, will leverage his knowledge to further cement Ontario engineers' position as valuable pillars of society. His experience in various fields has allowed him to understand and appreciate the value of diverse and multidisciplinary teams, and he hopes to continue promoting cross-platform learning among sectors and professionals. Everyone, please welcome OSPE Vice Chair Dave Carnegie.
Thank you, Stephanie. It has been said that all effective chairs share the same attributes: integrity, ability to influence others without dominating, personal strength, emotional intelligence, intellect and experience, decisiveness, the ability to chair meetings, coaching skills, and courage. Those attributes describe Stephanie Holko. During this past year, no one can argue that you lead OSPE as an effective chair. You started off your term leading your foursome in OSPE's sold-out annual golf tournament at Angus Glen. You represented OSPE at our largest and most successful engineering conference at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre with over 5,000 people in attendance, followed by an elegant evening celebrating the achievements of our colleagues at the Ontario Professional Engineers Awards Gala. You led a productive OSPE PEO joint summit where we were able to build bridges and collaborate in the best interests of our profession. You represented OSPE at our Queen's Park reception. You led our board through our quarterly meetings and encouraged us to be strategic, curious, courageous, and collegial. Stephanie, on behalf of OSPE, I would like to thank you for your professionalism, dedication, and leadership. As you leave your post as chair, I am also very pleased to announce that you are now a lifetime honorary member of the Society.
Thank you, Dave. We've now come to the end of our meeting. I ask that all members of the 2024-2025 OSPE Board of Directors please join the pre-arranged teleconference meeting 10 minutes following the close of the AGM for the first meeting of the OSPE Board. There being no further business, I move to adjourn the 2024 Annual General Meeting. Can I have a second?
And we have Marilyn Powers seconding.
Thank you. We will now call for a vote. One final reminder, please remember to click Secure Voting or scroll down to access the voting window. If you're already logged on, click Next Vote. If you wish to use a separate device, use the link in the chat.
Great, and I see most of our votes in are already in, so I'm going to go ahead and give a 30-second warning. 30 seconds, please, to cast your vote. And ballot is now closed. Please stand by for the results.
I was worried. Thank you. I declare the motion to be carried and declare the 2024 annual general meeting closed. Thank you again for joining us and enjoy the rest of your week.